Greetings, Raphael X here with another video. Please subscribe, click on the like button, notifications button, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. All right, without further ado, let us begin as we always do with the prayer in Latin. In nomine Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena Dominus tecum, benedicta tu mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Jesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen. Ave Maria, sede sapientiae, ora pro nobis. In nomine Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti. Amen. All right, I have to remember this microphone. Today we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people know about, but maybe not in details, about the growing food shortage, right, that's coming up. And God is our true food, but we cannot seek the spiritual food without actual physical food, right? So we need the physical food, right? God wants this, and it falls under God's providence, right? Providence, the word provide is in providence. And St. Ignatius had a beautiful reflection, meditation on how to increase the love of God, just thinking of everything that is provided for you, everything from the fish you ate last night was not only created and sustained by God, but all the secondary causes, the one that fished it, right? The person who fished it, the person who filleted it, who prepared it, cooked it, served it on your table, that God is also the first cause of all of that. So that fish from all eternity in God's mind was made for you, that you ate. That breath of air that you just have just taken from all, when it was emitted from the tree, from all eternity, that breath of air was destined for you. So it's amazing, right? And we see how sin is such a grave evil. So God provides us with food. Nevertheless, God allows the secondary causes to thwart his plans, though in the end, his plans, let's say, on a more superficial basis, but in the end, God's ultimate plan will prevail. So let us not fear, but nevertheless, let us be informed and see what's happening. So let me share a screen here. There's an interesting article. I don't know if you remember from last year, how China was buying the farms, and even the Biden administration, who is practically in love with China. I mean, at least in the practical sense. Maybe, he says he wants to go against China, but in the practical sense, definitely in bed, as they say, with China. Even the Biden administration has complained about China buying farms in the United States. So let's share this screen. It's an article from Politico. I don't really read Politico, but sometimes, even the Times or the Washington Post, they do. This is not the correct one. This is the one here. Let's see, give me 1 second here. Here it is. All right, so this is this technology. Here we go. There's also a New York Times article, as I said, we'll see. This is the one I wanted to see. China's buying up American farms. Washington wants to crack down. This is from last year. The push to drain China's influence from the US economy has reached America's farm country, as congressional lawmakers from both parties are looking at measures to crack down on foreign purchases of prime agricultural real estate. House lawmakers recently advanced legislation to that effect, warning that China's presence in the American food system poses a national security risk. And key Senate lawmakers have already shown interest in efforts to keep American farms in American hands. Now, what's happening now is that mysteriously, and this could be China. I'm not really making this relationship, but it seems that this is so, that a lot of the farmlands are being burnt, which actually is a normal thing, burning of farmlands. I lived on a farm for some years in different countries, and you do burn the lands for the sake of, right, so you can plant new crops ultimately. But that you're seeing livestock dying. The other day, 10,000 cows died, and they said it was from natural causes, well, from a heat stroke rather. But strange, in a certain part they died, but not in other parts, and massively, 10,000 cows. I believe this was in Kansas. The other day is Minnesota, I believe, thousands of chickens were killed. So what is going on here? right? And I mean, we have the food prices going up, and at the same time, we're having this destruction of, right, this of food. The debate over farm ownership comes amid broader efforts by Congress and the Biden administration to curb the nation's economic reliance on China, especially in key industries like food, semiconductors, and minerals deemed crucial to the supply chain. The call for tighter limits on who owns America's farms has come from a wide range of political leaders, from Michael Pence, Elizabeth Warren, after gaining momentum seated in farm states. All right, so I'm going to go to the next one here, next article. Now, here's a cow here. The reason I bring up that article, because it seems China does want us to be dependent on them, obviously for obvious economic reasons, and a very efficacious way of doing that would be to buy our lands and ultimately not produce, to make us reliant on China even for the food. So how bad will food shortages get? And there's no doubt about it, right? This is what's also ramping up inflation, apart from the high gas prices. This is an article from Epic Times, a great newspaper. This was written a couple of days ago. May 2020, I, along with other experts, predicted that food disruptions and even famine could follow the COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately, that prediction appears to be coming true, as food shortages and sky-high prices will become a long-term thing by this fall. Don't panic, just prepare. Now we have to see what is the goal of all of this is the Great Reset. We have to see everything through the lens of the Great Reset. As Glenn Beck says, which is totally true. Read the book, The Great Reset. It came out during the pandemic, and now. I mean, was it Biden, or actually it was mentioned by in CNN? I believe Biden said explicitly. You can correct me in the comments. Talking about a new world, liberal world order. So they're even just saying this out in the open. They're not even hiding this anymore. A new liberal world order. So everything. So what do? They destroy the existing status quo, we can say, or the existing way of doing things in farming, in economics, in education. You destroy it to ultimately build up anew. It's the extreme postmodern way, we can say. Postmodernism is essentially deconstruct in order to construct, right? And that's not the correct way. The true conservative, as we said, true conservative knows how to, make, actualize, allow new elements to come in, but always building on the past, right? You can never start 100% anew. So this is kind of the sinister plan of the Great Reset generally. At a glance, it's becoming increasingly clear that severe food shortages are going to be inevitable, more or less worldwide, and whatever food is available will continue to go up in price. Also, one of the, of course, goals of the Great Reset is to reduce population for the sake of climate change. How do you do that? You lessen the food, right? It's clear. Again, this is not a conspiracy theory, folks. This is things that they're saying out in the open. The cost of agricultural inputs such as diesel and fertilizers is skyrocketing due to shortages caused by a combination of intentional and coincidental events. And those costs will be reflected in consumer food prices come fall and next year. I have a friend who's a truck driver, and he says he doesn't even he works for himself, doesn't work for a company. He doesn't even do some of the runs he usually does because, I mean, diesel around here in New Jersey is $7 in some places, almost $7 a gallon. So he's losing money, especially if it's a short trips. It makes no sense. And short trips, city trips, where you waste more gas, you could say more diesel. Mysterious fires, alleged bird flu outbreaks. I believe this was the cause of the death of the chickens, they have said, I believe. Alleged bird flu outbreaks and other inexplicable events are killing off livestock and crucially destroying crucial infrastructure, right? Farm infrastructure. Now look at this. This is weird. Since the end of April 2021, at least 96 farms food processing plants, and food distribution centers across the US have been damaged or destroyed. And we can also add with this the shortage of the baby formula, right? And then we have, I believe it is, it just came to my mind, it's on to my tongue. Microsoft founder Bill Gates. Bill Gates coming out with bio milk. Coincidence? I don't know. Right? Unless, right? That's why Roe v. Wade, overturning of Roe v. Wade is a huge, you can say, setback for the Great Reset plans, because obviously the population is going to increase with the setback of Roe v. Wade in those states, right, where it's prohibited or limited abortion. The global food price index has risen 58.5% above the 2014-2016 average as of April 2022, due to the convergence of post-pandemic global demand, extreme weather, tightening food stocks, high energy prices, supply chain bottlenecks, export restrictions, taxes, and Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, there are a combination of events, but as we will see quickly in the New York Times, they only talk about the causes that promote their political agenda, like climate change and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. They do not talk about inflation. They just pass it by, inflation in general, or they do not talk about the gas hikes causing the food shortages. Combine all these factors, set us up for guaranteed food shortages, food inflation, and potentially famine in some places. So now is the time to prepare. All right, so let me show you this New York Times. And it says on the bottom, I'm almost out of free articles. I was paying for a while, $1 a week, but I do not want to support the New York Times, to be honest. Do not want to support them. They do have interesting stuff. I call it out when when it is, but usually it's garbage. How bad is the global food crisis going to get? This is from June 7th. So let's see, what are some of the cause? Obviously, here we go, Ukraine and Russia, right? Which is, of course, is a cause, because Russia was, I believe, #1 producer of grain in the world, or rice, one of those things. The Times first covered the effect of the war on global hunger in early March, barely a week after the conflict began. In May, the UN Secretary General was warning of the scepter of a global food shortage, and The Economist put the coming food catastrophe on its cover. Let's see, I believe, closer look at the scale. And so New York Times, obviously, and it gets into specifics. A closer look at the scale, the cost of cereals is up 69.5% per Reuters, and oils up 137.5%. Remember, it's 100% up. It's double plus 37%. With the overall food price index up 58.5%, and this is what we saw in the other article. Here we go. It is worth keeping in mind that 49 million is not the number facing acute food insecurity, to use the WFP's technical category distinction. That number is a much higher one, at least 323 million, which is up, Beasley says, from 276 million before the war. 135 million before the pandemic, and 80 million will be joined the WFP in 2017, a fourfold increase in the single leadership term. 49 million is just the number of those at most immediate risk of death. So more and more, right, we see hunger spreading. At first, globalism, it is true, globalism did have the positive effect of mitigating poverty. But now the Great Reset, because they want to destroy, in a sense, even the global order, right, to reestablish a new global order based on this post-humanist philosophy. So again, I'm not going to go through the article. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm going to post these 3 links in the comments so you can check them out. But it's not really, they don't, and this is typical of the MSN, mainstream media, they don't go to the causes, the actual causes. They go to the causes, or they don't focus on the causes. They go many times to the causes that suit their agenda. All right, so I want to go back to this other argument. See, all climate related. Here we go again. Climate related. What can we do? How bad will it get? What can we do? And let's look at here where it says, don't look at this, your eyes are going to hurt. Here we go. What can we do? Buy from the top, buy shelf stable and non-perishable foods in bulk. There's a lot of good MREs, or Patriot Supply is good too. There's a lot of different foods out there which have shelf life. Right here it says 25 years or more. That's what you want to get. And maybe even a solar powered type of stove, right? Other good options include canned salmon, canned cod livers, sardines in water, nuts, powdered milk, and whey, and other nutritional powders you can mix with water. Energy backups, this is huge, right? There's a lot of solar panel. There's a solar panel generator, solar generator kits. Those are good to have. Cooking backups. You will always need some way to cook water and food during the blackout. Right, there are the propane powered camping stoves. Those are great. Start a garden and learn some basic skills. So there's this push, I like to call it a naturalist push. There's a push to go back to nature, to learn the basics, survival skills, right? What to eat in the woods. I was in the Army, we learned some of that, a lot of that basic stuff. What to eat in the woods, how to tell, time, in essentially natural time, at least using shadows, or to at least make a homemade compass, to tell the difference between plants and herbs, right? What herbs have medicinal value, even bark. So a lot of these things are good to know. Planting is huge. The other day I found out planting is against the federal law. Planting, especially planting food, is against it's a federal crime, but obviously it's not enforced. So a law that's not enforced is, in the end, is not really a law. All right, so I'm going to leave these two articles. You could check them out. I didn't want to go too much in detail and have a half an hour video. Just want to keep it brief. And don't forget to subscribe again. Click on the like button and notifications, all that good stuff. All right, well, I'll see you next time. God bless you. Take care.